go ahead and start by talking about the ones that I would delete. Essentially, the ones that I would keep, all that good stuff. Okay, so the very first ones to look at on which ones to delete. So let's go through gloves and all these ones that have variable primary stats. So the very first thing that I look for in ones that I want to delete are any ones that have HP, attack, or defense as a primary stat for these three bottom row ones. That's because the stats are pretty garbage, so you're only losing out on value if you happen to run those. So I just vendor every single one of them because I never want to put those on. And then now, the next thing that I'm going to check for is if it is a rare. I'm going to look at the substats, and if it has HP and attack, or HP and defense, or attack and defense. So basically, if it has, actually for blues, if it has one of these, if it has one flat stat, I'm deleting it because that just means that like you can get much better rolls from everything else, and since you're only rolling two, you're only losing value by keeping it. So it doesn't matter what the main set is or anything like that. I just delete all of them that have a substat that's basically wasting value here for all the blues. Okay, so that is how I would basically filter and trash my blues and stuff. Now when it comes to epics and legendaries, the way that I look at it is this one needs two stats for it to be trash. So I'll go and click on both HP and attack, which I have none that have both those subsets, HP and defense, and all these ones would have two of the flat stats. So I would go ahead and delete them. Apparently I still have two that are already 16, so I'm going to leave those. I have that rolled terribly. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So I would get rid of the attack and defense ones as well. And I think I already ran both these. Yeah. Okay, so that's how I would do the default ones that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of without actually looking too deep into their stats. It's basically off of that criteria. I keep all mythics for now. I'll probably start selling them later, but for now I keep them all. Let's see what else. Now, so we did that for every single thing because I didn't filter it. Now let's see. If I were to go into boots, the boots that I'm going to keep are basically only speed. Almost every champion you run is going to run speed boots. There's very small chances you would run these ones with like HP percent, attack percent, and defense percent, but it almost has to be perfect rolls. Like if I were to look at these, this one might be potentially runnable, but like there's no speed on it. Speed is like the most important stat, so you want to actually have speed on it if you don't have it up here, and then you would have to roll speed well. See, like this one, defense. It has speed, but all of it's saying when it's attack too, so this is just a terrible roll. So I would sell that. So I'm actually going to go through my boots that don't have speed on them. See, like this one has potential, because if it happens to hit speed a few times, it could be useful for speed tuning, where you don't need max speed, you're just trying to hit a speed breakpoint. So that one I'll keep, but I haven't rolled it. I guess if I were to go and show how I would roll these, just to check, is the way that I always go through. Roll 8. See what it kind of rolls, which crit damage isn't bad. So try it one more time. But it didn't hit speeds. But just the stats on this are just flat out good, so it's like okay to keep it. But usually I'll roll to 8, see what it hits, and if it's hitting decent stats, then I'll roll it to 12. If it hits decent stats again, then I'll roll to 16. And most of the time, I'm looking for stats that are going to be percentage based, outside of ones that can't be percentage based, like speed, accuracy, and res. But for those, that's basically what I'm looking for. But like I said earlier, when it comes to boots, you're pretty much going to be rolling primary stat of speed for almost every single one of them. And then if I were to go back into here, let's go ahead and let's say we're looking at chest. So whenever it comes to chest pieces, the most highly sought after one is always going to be HP percent. The reason HP percent is so good is because whenever you're building out like your damage dealers, you want them to have a HP percent primary stat chest. The reason is you want them to have high HP because the choice of who the enemy is going to attack is generally based off HP. So if you have a high HP, generally your attacker won't actually get hit. But what you're looking for whenever you're looking for stat or chest like this is, for damage dealers, you want to be able to have max crit rate, which most of my HP percent and crit rates are already equipped, so I'd have to click on this just to see that. Crit damage is good, but you want crit rate first, then depending on the champion, it could be speed or accuracy. Dogs go nuts. Yeah, so where it could be speed, it could be accuracy, but essentially those are the main stats that you're looking for whenever it comes to damage dealers and chests, because those are the stats you're going to get the most out of. And then crit damage comes pretty much after you have 100% crit rate. So 100% crit rate is like the most important stat 99% of the time. Then if I were to look at gloves, whenever it comes to the variable ones, generally if it's a damage dealer, you want to have crit damage gloves, because at at 6 stars it's going to give you 80% crit damage, which is crazy. I believe it's 60% at 5 star, which is still good, but you pretty much want to max out crit damage here, and then you want to be hovering the wrong thing. And then you want to also have like crit rate, speed, and accuracy on those two whenever it comes to the champ, depending on what they need. Like if they don't have any debuffs or anything that you're trying to hit, you obviously don't need accuracy, so that's what you would be looking for those. And then when it comes to like, say most supports you don't need to hit max like crit rate on, right? So nor do you need crit damage, because you're not going to be doing damage with his champs. So you'd be more so looking for HP percent, defense percent for those. And then, of course, substats would be speed as the number one again. Then accuracy. Usually, if they have debuffs to land, res is a great stat. And then the opposite of whichever primary stat you have. So if you have a primary stat of HP percent, you want to get a defense percent stat on there too for extra defenses. Your goal with most supports is just to make them as fast and as tanky as possible, so they go through their skill set as many times as possible. But their damage will be negligible, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then when it comes to all these sets, it's pretty much just the same. Where if you're looking for a damage dealer, you're gonna look for as much crit rate as you can get, and then speed, and then accuracy, of course. And their primary stats are already set, so you don't have to worry about those. So you're just looking at the substats there, and you're looking for the substats that will coincide with whether they're DPS, support, tank, which most tanks and supports basically build the same with accuracy and speed and defense stats. That's going to be the best or the most important way to look at it. Generally, when I think about like res stats really are kind of just useless unless you're going over a certain breakpoint where it'll actually make you resist their debuffs. It's kind of the same with accuracy. If you're not hitting a certain breakpoint and they have a lot more res, it's kind of a useless stat at that point. So you have to, if you're building out a champion, they need to hit debuffs, you have to get enough accuracy. Which generally, in just normal circumstances, around 200 is good enough. If you're going into PvP, you're going to need a lot more because people will build res sets. And then you'll have a really tough time dealing with champs like Pythion and other ones that are going to increase resistance to. So you got to be very careful with that. And then let's see. Whenever I'm looking on what artifacts I want to start upgrading or checking their stats out, generally I start by just going through and I'll click speed and accuracy first, and then I'll go through every single one and just check to see where this hits. So I don't care about the set because what I'm planning on doing with each character is just maxing out the stats. So stats are better than the set. It doesn't matter what set you're looking at the current time until you're getting towards end game, when you have basically very similar stats on multiple set items, and then you can worry about getting the correct sets. But really don't put too much weight on sets. So this hit accuracy twice, so I'd be happy to upgrade it. Generally, if this is 3 good stats, going to 12 is perfectly fine because you can find a place to put it. But that's usually what I start off with for looking for things to upgrade. Is I'm going to go through all of my sets that have speed and accuracy as substats, except for, of course, boots, where I'd be looking based off of speed, primary set, and I would look for something like accuracy, crit rate, or just crit rate, crit damage, stuff like that for the speed boots, and go based off of that. So that is pretty much what I would be looking at in terms of what set pieces I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to delete. And as of right now, just this is for me personally right now. Any blues I just delete, but this is basically almost end game. So any blues I basically delete. For most starters or mid gamers, you're gonna be looking for anything below 4-star, delete. It's just the stats are gonna be too low. When you can finally start farming like 6-star, anything that drops 6 stars, like any dungeon that drops 6-star. Like if I were to go to Spider Den, say, so Stage 13 Spider drops 4 to 6 stars. Once I can start getting 6 stars, I would stop keeping 4 stars, because any 6-star piece, almost no matter what it rolls, is still going to be better, just because the potential for stats at that point is going to be a lot higher than anything you get from 4, and eventually add up until you can finally start easily farming stuff like the stage 20 spider, which is what I farm all the time. Even if I can go higher, it doesn't matter, because I do this one extremely fast, and it drops 5 to 6-star stuff. So just simple stuff like that. Someone was wanting me to go over like what dungeons or what champions would be good for each dungeon. So generally, I'll probably have to make that into another video, go over that. And I'll mostly go over these ones to start off with, these 4 main ones. And then probably go over the potions a little bit, and then also Iron Twins Fortress, and how to really deal with it. So I'll go over those in another video for y'all. But I just want to do this one real quick just to show what ones to delete, which are assets to delete and remove. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for this one.